Henry Gross talks Dylan, and again, he mentions comedy. He loves comedy. I'm John Bowden from Rock History Music. Part of the reason I will interview someone is, of course, to get answers that maybe I otherwise would not have. You can read a lot of stuff from a book. You can get a lot more from actually interviewing an artist. You don't want to corner them or anything, and you don't always want to look for dirt. You want to look for interesting stuff. When you talk to Henry Gross, everything's interesting stuff. He comes at it from a different angle. I know it's a term I've used a lot on this channel, but those are the kind of people that I enjoy. In this clip, we talk about Dylan, and again, he mentions comedy, the structure of comedy, and how things have changed through the years.
There's two types of funny, and this is, you know, I lecture people on this, on people that want to write songs. There's the rule of threes that applies in life and in comedy. And this is an old George Burns lived by it. You know, you knock on the door, nothing happens. You knock on the door, nothing happens. You knock on the door, you get a pie in the face. And the same thing is true in the construction of a song or in the construction of a joke. There's two types of funny in the world. Right. There's funny ha-ha, which is the tripe that is projectile vomited on audiences by late night television show hosts since Johnny died and since Jay left, and you know. Which I am not a fan of anymore. It's bitter, it's ugly, it's overtly political, of only one opinion, which, you know, ruins comedy whether you're on the right or on the left. When you only laugh at one side, you're not a comedy. You're just a political hack. So let's make them all political shows. So I don't laugh at that stuff. I'm not interested in it. But there's funny, that is called funny ha-ha. It's funny for the devotees of that philosophy, you know, for the lemmings that are following that philosophy into the trough of misery that it will bring them, whether it's on one side or the other. And then there's funny aha. And that's when W.C. Fields, and It's a Gift, is trying to shave, and his daughter keeps moving the mirror. And so he goes behind the mirror, then she closes the mirror on the medicine cabinet. And then he winds up, you know, looking at the bottom of a tin can, trying to shave on his back, and his wife, of course, walks in and goes, "What are you doing now?" I mean, that was funny enough that my grandfather, who lost his family, a lot of his family in the Holocaust, never got over, he never laughed at anything. I never saw him laugh. He laughed at that. Because it's a human comedy. Because you don't have to know. Look, I don't want to, obviously, Robin Williams I admired greatly, and I thought he was a great talent, great actor, great comedian. But when he started out with that Mork stuff, I wasn't a fan. Because I see him on these late night shows, and his jokes, a lot of his jokes were about television shows. I didn't watch television. I didn't know. I knew Burns and Allen. That's when I stopped watching TV, The Honeymooners, Bilko. You know, that to me, you know, Gleason, by the way, I put with the greats of all time.
Yeah.
And so I watch these, you know, great comics. And well, I don't know. Once I think of Gleason, I'm gone. I'm at Gigot, and I'm at, I have Gleason's records. I listen to Gleason sing. I love Gleason. I love Jerry Lewis. I mean, I love these people that, you know, I remember everybody deriding Jerry Lewis for years except the French. And then he goes and he makes this movie, The King of Comedy. And he shows everybody who's an actor. You know, you got some other people in the movie that people thought were pretty hot. Oh, yeah? Jerry's in the room. Now you're going to see what it's really all about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's another level there. There's another level. And I think that movie proves that he was aha. The other guys were ha-ha. You know, De Niro in that movie is ha-ha. You know, Rupert Pupkin. It's okay, I get it. You know, we all know Rupert Pupkin. He's every person that ever got signed to a major record deal. Major label record deal is Rupert Pupkin, including the A&R staff. You know, they're all Rupert Pupkins.
Yeah.
You know, the world, the music business and the comedy business, if you take people, and this doesn't mean I don't have friends and I don't love everybody, and you know, we're all bozos on this bus, as Firesign Theater said. But the fact is, if you take most artists, and you know this to be a fact, although you wouldn't confront people with it, I can do it because it's true of me probably. although I hate to admit it. Self-analysis is worthwhile more than anything else on earth. I mean, if Hitler marched in with 50,000 troops into downtown Nashville, you know, singing Deutschland über alles, most of the artists, if not all, would be saying to themselves, can I do that song? Would that be good in my show? You know, 50,000 people said, maybe I should cut that. You know, I mean, there would be 6,500 cuts of Deutschland über alles with a pedal steel guitar and a violin in 20 minutes.
That says a lot about human nature.
But it's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And so, you know, Bob Dylan said many things, all of which made sense. Don't follow leaders and watch the parking meters. Rodney Dangerfield proved that true when he left a meeting about a sequel to Caddyshack. Do you remember that great story that Rodney told? He said he showed up to the meeting in his bathrobe, and he sat there for 10 minutes, and he said, I'll be right back, and he left. And he left the meeting. He never went back, and they didn't know what happened. Well, he said his parking meter was up, and he knew that the meeting was BS. They weren't going to give him what he wanted, but he knew he was going to get a ticket. So without knowing it, Rodney Dangerfield was following Bob Dylan's advice, you know, from Subterranean Homesick Blues. I mean, Bob Dylan said it best. You know, people have been mad at Dylan for years, you know, because he's pulling everybody's leg with this. Nobody knows what song he's singing, and there's this. The guy's a genius. But he said it himself. He told Pete Seeger to shove it when he wanted him to join the Communist Party. He said, I'm an entertainer. Why would I follow your thing? Why is your thing any less corrupt than the other thing you don't like? Dylan was a man to love. And then there are these people talk. They don't do their research. I talk to people, they don't do their research. They don't know your music. They don't know what you're doing. They're talking to you. And I listen to Dylan, and I think, here's a guy, but how many people have you had on who goes, I like Dylan in the old days when he was writing great stuff. Yeah, listen, people only write, It's All Right, Mom, Only Bleeding Once.
Yeah.
You only get that once. That's it. You only get that once. But I would pay, probably, if I had the money, I'd pay for the session to have Roger McGuinn and the Byrds cut Mississippi from Love and Theft. Because I submit to you that that song has as many great lines as can be written in a song in 3 or 4 minutes. You know, the clothes I'm wearing are tight on my skin, but not as tight as the corner I've painted myself in. And he says, perhaps, maybe the greatest Bob Dylan line, maybe greater than all those lines about why they just want to pull you, and he just wants to pull you into the hole that he's in. I mean, you hear this when you're 8 years old and you're thinking, what is this guy talking about? It's like, you don't have to take the train into Manhattan by yourself. You're on Times Square all by yourself, just listening to Bob. Well, he has this line, and he talks about, you know, you're sorry, baby, I'm sorry too. You remember that line? In the end of Mississippi, and he says, here's his greatest line of Bob Dylan for me. You can come back, baby, but you can't come back all the way. That makes me want to take this pile of stuff, it's my life's work, and throw it in the fireplace. Because it has some great moments. I'm not stupid and I work hard. But how do you come to that? How do you write those 2 lines?
Yeah.
Because
how can you say so much with 2 lines? How can you say so much with 2 lines? Yeah.
You want to talk about that you heard stuff today that was a little different or something? How about that? That just dunked on the whole show. I mean, it did. Because I don't know what he's connected to. I don't know what he's smoking or not smoking. You know, I don't know who. I met him once, and you know, he wouldn't even. Of course, he wouldn't remember. You know, it's like for him, it's like, oh, where'd you meet? At Woodstock. You know, I mean, he meets a billion people. But the man is absolutely to put it that way, because you can come back. You can fix stuff. You can break up with your wife. You can break up with your girlfriend. You can come back. You can quit your job or get fired and come back. You can do all those things, and you can rebuild it. But you can never come back all the way. When you're a jackass, man, you're a jackass, and you can fix it. But it's really, really hard, other than in movies, to be Alistair Simmons Scrooge at the end of the movie. In the 1951 black and white British version, which is the only one people need to see, and I love George C. Scott. You know, and actually met him.
We'll have more of a conversation with Henry Gross coming up next week. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, share our videos, and comment on them as well. I'm John Bowden from Rocky Stream Music.